Hey guys, Josh here, and today I have another video for you guys. And in today's video, I'm just doing a live cam. I'm leveling up the Ramp 7 and also talking about basically my Disney experience during, of course, the pandemic. So, before we get into it, really, just wanted to address maybe some concerns people may have. Yes, I already knew about, of course, Florida and everything. I know it's bad. I have also taken a COVID-19 test, so I'm negative. So hopefully that may address maybe some concerns. And with that being said, I just want to talk about Disney's safety and Disney, just how Disney has changed or what Disney has done to prevent COVID. So example, like Disney, for its safety precautions throughout all parks and even the hotels now, you have to take a temperature test to, of course, get into the park. So it's over, I think it's up one, or it's if you're above one, or like 1 degree up and 1 degree down. So it's only a degree difference. So if you're higher than 99.7, not 99.7, 98.7, you cannot go through a hotel, you can't get into the parks, you can't do anything. So, yeah, big safety thing there. They also do screenings and everything. You have to wear a mask, stuff like that. Aim is dog shit. But, like, to even get into the parks, you have to be wearing a mask, first and foremost. If you're not wearing a mask, they're not even going to do a temperature check on you because they don't care. They want you wearing a mask in Disney, which I completely agree with. Mask is the best way to, of course, stop spreading diseases in general. If you're maybe had the flu that could have been mistaken for COVID. So wearing a mask in general, good job. So basically, like, how does that really affect the park? So now there's like little new stations around called relaxation stations. They're meant for you eating snacks, drinking water, stuff like that, where you need to take off a mask, and those are limited. Like, there's only so many allowed. You need to keep 6 feet, of course, and like you cannot. I mean, you can't, like, you're not supposed to like get close to anyone, even workers. They want you to social distance, which completely makes sense. And I'm really glad Disney has those because I've used them a couple times. I didn't use them often, just to drink water basically. But for example, Florida has really bad humidity. It's hot there. I think when we went during the end of July, it felt like 105 most days, and that's hot. From someone that usually experiences like 80s, going 25 degrees up, it wasn't unbearable by any means. It was just hot, especially with humidity and having a mask on. You're exhaling out hot air. And so it gets really uncomfortable throughout the day. So like we sort of had to take a midway break, and I mean we had to anyways because it stormed literally every day at the half. And like I wanted to go swimming for the longest time too throughout the whole trip. Every single time I wanted to go swimming, well, not Disney, Florida storms, they said, not right now, sir. It would just storm for the longest time, and then around like we'd go back at 4 p.m. like 3 p.m. Well, by the time we got on the bus and everything, so like 3 to 4, and then we'd get back to the hotel and everything. It'd be 6 o'clock by the time the storm finally ends. Right, with that had been out of the way, but like it was just unbearable to a point to wear a mask all day. I understand it was for safety reasons, but God, it was hot. But like even with pools and stuff, you had to be wearing a mask if you're not swimming. So unless you're under the water, basically, you had to have a mask on, which that's really good, honestly. Unless you're, of course, eating or drinking. They didn't have relaxation zones at the pool because, I mean, that's what a pool is, technically. But other than that, like, Disney did a pretty good job on their safety. And like even when it comes to restaurants, very open restaurants now, They made sure you're more than 6 feet apart, probably like 8 or 9 feet apart. They had, of course, your waiter wear a face mask and a normal, like a face shield and a mask. So that was really nice to see. They made you feel comfortable, honestly. Like I didn't really remember that like COVID-19 was a thing for a minute, like while eating, because like other than your waiter, you didn't really notice anyone. You're just eating good food, and you're like, yummy. And then you're like, oh, let me put on my mask, because of course there's a pandemic going on. The only concerns I really have for Disney is Disney Springs. They're like very open, of course, like mall that has a bunch of restaurants and stuff not owned by Disney. And so I get it, it's very hard to control people wearing masks in restaurants and of course shopping places that you don't own. And so like you saw a bunch of stores, I guess they say, oh, I guess you don't really need to be 6 feet away, or like they allowed a lot more people in than Disney recommends, or even the CDC recommends. And so it just felt very unregulated. And you had a lot of people wearing their face masks like this down instead of here down. And so it felt very, when we went there for a day, it was not nice. And we weren't even there a full day. It was more just for dinner, because well, we did not want to risk it, even though we looked at the stores for maybe an hour or two, and we stopped, we did things, because that's basically the only stores that are open too. If you went to any of the other Disney parks, like, yeah, there's stores open. I mean, in the hotels as well, there's stores open there. But there's a lot of the more popular stores that either closed very early. So, for example, if you went to Epcot and wanted to go to the brand store, the basically Providence of Brand, or whatever they call it, the store would close through, I think, 4 hours earlier than the park closings. For example, Epcot closed at 9, and they would close at, I think, 5 or something, or 7. It depends on the store, of course. So it was very weird seeing that. And so basically it was just very weird that they basically left you with the only option to shop after like 7 was Disney Springs, and in some cases only after 5. And so you now have to go from very safe Disney to very unregulated, maybe getting COVID possibly type of place. And that was the only real concern I had. But like, for example, if you went on rides and stuff, they had markers for 6 feet and everything, and they also had these like little walls blocking like areas where they couldn't be 6 feet or more. So like, you could be 6 feet left and right, but you couldn't be 6 feet not left and right. You could be 6 feet like in front of you and behind you, but you couldn't do that left or right. So they had these like metal walls with little, not glass windows, but like plastic windows that would separate the queues and everything. So like, the rides felt pretty safe. They also sanitized a lot. So for example, they would close probably each ride 3 times a day for like maybe 10-15 minutes, just sanitizing all the rides. Like, even in some cases they would close it after like someone goes through it, and it was very weird because like, even though the wait time said they were short and everything, it actually might have been longer than what it would say. So you also had people complaining, but like, it was, if people knew, they wouldn't have probably complained. So they also started alerting people. So for example, on Splash Mountain they closed it a lot. So Splash Mountain's a water ride, so even though they use a very high, I mean, it's not chlorine, I forgot what they use, but a very high cleaning like water source, they would close the ride down maybe every 15 minutes or so. After like probably, I would say, 20 rides go through, they'd basically say, hey, we're stopping the ride for a little bit, we're gonna sanitize the ride. And you'd see people like spray bottles of like, I don't know what they used, but they were pumpers too. Like they were spraying that stuff all over the place, just flaming it. And so it was very nice to see that though, because it just made me feel, of course, more comfortable just being there. So like, for example, another ride is, of course, if you ever been to Magic Kingdom or whatever they call in Disneyland, you heard of It's a Small World. And if you haven't been to any of those, it's a little water ride. I think they do it more on water rides because, of course, water can be a really bad way of spreading COVID. I think, don't want to spread misinformation, but I think water, like, if you touch the water, it sits there, and like, it's just something harder to clean. But like, they did this all on the water rides, that's what I'm just trying to say. They had people just spray down after every ride, because it's a slower ride, they can do that. They have more time to clean in between people getting on and stuff. So they would, of course, just spray the whole thing down. And like, they'd also like gap ride cards. So like, one ride cart would go, one would pull up, but they would spray that one and it would go through the ride. And then when the ride, like, let's say we followed those carts throughout the whole time, the one that had people in it would get sprayed down, and the one that was just cleaned would go in with people. So basically they had a good rotation of course, cleaning and stuff, which was very nice to see. It made you feel safe. I honestly believe like Disney's probably a safer place to be than probably a grocery store. I don't know how your guys' grocery stores are around you guys, but I live in Indiana, and before our governor had a face mask mandate, you would see a lot of people with, of course, like the nose under things. You'd see people not wearing masks at all, and honestly, you'd probably have a better chance of being, I might aim, probably get a better chance of getting COVID there than, of course, Disney World. Now, there's, of course, some issues with traveling, even though there's a lot of people with, like, Florida has masks, like, for airports, like, not for airports, but, like, of course, I think whatever they call the Orlando International Airport, they had some masked up, like, they had 6 feet warnings, they had everything there, just like you saw in Disney, which that's honestly really good to see traveling. Sorry, but like, once you're in the food court area, people just masked, you didn't see it. I mean, I get it, you're eating and stuff, but like, even ordering, they would just be like, okay, at my table now, dude, you're gonna take off my mask? Oh, I didn't order food, so let me just order food without a mask. And so, it's really weird to see. That's probably honestly the best possible way I probably could have gotten COVID throughout that whole trip, even with Disney Springs and everything, was probably traveling. Because you are in these more condensed, you're in an airport. Like, it's not a huge airport, like, especially food court area, it was slightly big. Like, you didn't see as many people traveling, of course, but like, you did get close to people, especially when ordering and stuff. So if there's a one note to take away from this probably very, not confusing video, but just long video, is if you're traveling during a pandemic, wear masks, be very hand sanitize literally everything. I don't know what else to tell you guys. This is basically the end of the video, and if you like this type of content, leave it a like. If you dislike this by any means, dislike it. Let me know what I could do to improve these videos. This is sort of my first but first attempt at this type of content. So, yeah. And, well, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. That, of course, helps the channel. With that, of course, all being said, I just want to thank you guys for also all the support recently. We have gained a lot of subscribers recently. So, yeah, thank you. And I hope you guys have a nice day. Adios.